All right, Joe, which would you take? Would you take another Pinnacle Peak Pictures movie or a Daily Wire movie?
We did do that one.
Now I made a commitment to you that we would never touch that again, but just gun to your head, you have to do this off podcast time.
Pinnacle Peak, because we might get another God's Not Dead 2 out of it.
We might. We probably won't, but we might.
Give me a moment's peace and take out the trash.
We pay taxes for people to come and take the garbage.
Hey, listen, Greenie, no more sneaking rides to the junkyard.
Yeah, man, take a taxi when you want to go to the junkyard.
Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited, the show where me, Joe,
and me, Caleb,
sit at our couch, watch the TV, and punish ourselves.
We knew this was coming. We did this to ourselves.
Yes,
But how could we not?
I question our sanity each and every time we do something like this.
How could we not? The year is 2022. This movie, of course, came out in 2021. But somehow, a certain franchise has lasted
10 years.
10 years. And we could not do any of the other ones on the podcast because none of them came out while the podcast was happening. So I see this less of us talking about this one movie and more of us talking about all of these movies.
Unfortunately, it's brought about by the most boring one.
This is true. Joe, what are we watching today?
God's Not Dead, We the People. Not For the People, which would have been such a better name because it's the fourth one. Come on, Pinnacle Peak.
Yeah, hire us to make your movies, Pinnacle
No, I
Peak.
don't want to make them. I just want to name them.
I would like to call this hearing of the House Subcommittee to order.
Right now, there's an effort underway to mandate universal educational guidelines.
Once we decide what a child needs to know, it becomes imperative that every child know it.
Remember the visit we got from social services the other day?
I'm here to review your homeschooling environment.
Religion has been removed from our schools. They're teaching kids that they don't need God.
If your children do not show up at school a week from Monday, you will be charged with contempt of court, meaning you will be incarcerated.
God's Not Dead, you got a 5 head.
Five-fingered God punch.
Give me the royalties.
So, God's Not Dead is the film that put PureFlix Pictures on a very small but notable map. But as time has gone on, they have made 4 movies now. They made a trilogy with like a conclusion and character arcs and everything.
And then they made another one.
Yeah. They have now transitioned. PureFlix is no longer the name of the studio. Instead, that's just the name of their streaming site. Now it is called Pinnacle Peak Pictures. And
that alliteration just really gets you.
And they can't do full theatrical runs, so they're stuck doing Fathom events now.
They had a 3-day release.
Now, admittedly, we wouldn't have seen this in theaters anyway.
Oh God, no.
But we did watch this movie through purely legal means. So let's go back and forth on explaining what the God's Not Dead movies are. I will do one since I know you'll want to do.
Oh, I love to.
You love to. One is there's a lot of plots in it, but for the most part, it is about a freshman in college who's forced.
I mean, not for the most part, but this is just one of the 4 plots and the one they advertise the movie off of.
Who is forced to debate his atheist professor on whether or not God is dead, or else he will not pass like philosophy 101 and then not be able to get into pre-law. There's also Muslims are evil and Chinese people are evil.
No. That's in 2 that the Chinese people are evil.
Yeah, but they plant the seeds in this one. And that cancer, cancer is. But cancer, but Newsboys can cure cancer and Duck Dynasty's there too.
Uh-huh.
So it's a lot.
Yeah, you got it all.
What's 2?
2 is about Sabrina the Teenage Witch accidentally, I'm using quotes, accidentally preaching in the classroom when she does something very reasonable and answers a question with context. And so it goes to court and is wildly entertaining. It's like the longest one at clocking it at like 2 hours and 10 minutes, but by God, it's the most entertaining with how absolutely insane it is.
I feel like to the core audience of these movies, it has the most honest villain. It's Prosecutor Kane, who just wants to kill the idea of God.
Yes.
He works for the ACLU, by the way. This is also all happening in Arkansas. God's Not Dead 3 returns.
Light in a darkened world.
Yeah, returns to the college campus where there is a brick thrown through the church's window and then a fire is started or something.
It hits a propane pipe that like sets fire.
Yeah, but then it becomes this whole thing about eminent domain, and the school wants to shut the church down because it's on the school's property. The main pastor of the series,
David A.R. White.
his brother comes in, but his brother's an atheist. But by the end of it, they decide that atheists and Christians can get along.
They can coexist.
And in a groundbreaking move for this franchise, the atheist is not converted / killed. Prosecutor Kane also does not die, but
No.
that's because
he's still a villain.
He's just the devil. And then 4, which we watched today.
4, which combine like all 3 of these movies.
But only the most boring parts.
Only the worst elements, yeah. Only the elements that would like make you fall asleep while watching it.
It has the scattered shot approach to the plot that the first one has, where it's just about a billion different things.
It has kind of a courtroom synopsis, but they make sure to tell you it's not a courtroom. Then they treat it like a courtroom.
What do you think it gets from 3?
Being really boring.
Bringing back characters that no one cared about?
Yeah, Martin Yip and the Muslim girl.
The main plot of 4 is about some homeschoolers who are challenged by social services because they don't think they're doing a good enough job homeschooling.
Yeah, they just show up at their door.
When they appeal this, for some reason, instead of going to the next court up, which would still be a state court, they go to a subcommittee of Congress.
A congressional hearing, yeah.
Now, Joe.
Yes, Caleb.
I'm no lawyer, but
no, you're not.
Luckily, I did receive a very good homeschooled education.
And you have a personal stake in this one.
Oh, yes. This is the representation I have not been waiting for. I know that when you appeal something, not only does it not go hop out of the judicial branch over into the legislative branch, but also, even if it did, Congress couldn't do anything about it.
That is correct. Much like how the president cannot declare war.
For a movie that is so focused on giving these Christian characters gotcha moments where they know more about America and American history and American law, it sure doesn't understand a very fundamental part of America's founding, the separation of powers.
No, this movie's just wanting to show you, hey, look, we know about these Christian things. Look, we're showing, or these American things, we're showing all the monuments.
During COVID, so there's no one around.
There's literally no one around. Everybody's got a 6-7 feet between them at all moments.
So as I did mention, I am homeschooled. And so
was
homeschooled, yeah. So, I have a little bit of experience. And we usually play a game on this show where when we watch a movie that takes place in high school, I ask Joe questions about high school.
But I was the one with questions this time.
Do you have any questions about being homeschooled?
Yeah. Is it like a commune with like 10 kids all at desks in someone's living room?
So you can do co-ops. I actually did one of these. Usually they are for subjects that are more specialized. Like I did a speech and debate thing there. I took my guitar lessons at a co-op. I did like computer
Is it
programming.
just someone's house?
No, I did it at a church. And so
yeah, because I've had a couple homeschool friends who like they had homeschool school once a week.
Yeah. But sometimes it is small enough, especially I think my girlfriend's co-op was like this, where if you're in a small enough town, it is just in someone's home.
Huh.
But you know what doesn't happen when you're homeschooled? Especially in Arkansas. I'm not from Arkansas, but I looked this up. You don't have social services just coming up randomly, knocking on your door, sitting in your house for like 3 minutes, and then deciding you're unfit to homeschool. They list off several reasons why these parents are unfit to homeschool. Mainly, I think the self-partnered persons.
Oh, that's the best line in the movie. I think that got the biggest hop of joy. No, there was a bigger squeal.
The social services person comes in. One of the kids asks if her name is Miss or Mrs. And she goes, "I identify as self-partnered," which should show you how much good faith these creators are coming at from. But she's like, they have inadequate equipment. The parents aren't properly educated to do this.
They got a chalkboard instead of a whiteboard.
Yeah,
like,
all this stuff. It's quite sad.
It's heinous.
And very importantly, the co-op can't do sports at the other school because if they don't go to the school, they can't do sports at the school. That was brought up for some weird reason and then suddenly dropped. But these are the requirements in Arkansas, and we're just going to play a little bit of a game.
Okay.
So what ages are required for schooling in Arkansas?
5 to 18.
5 to 17, but yeah, some states have a lower graduation.
Kindergarten to 12th grade.
Yeah. Do you think you need to notify the state that you're homeschooling?
Yes.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. All right. The trick to answering these, all of them have the same answer. So I'll just read off all 4 of these questions and you can guess. Do you need a teacher qualification? Do you have any state mandated subjects? Is assessment required? And does it require immunization?
No.
Exactly. So I'd like to remind you that while this movie takes place in Arkansas, not only would they not be game visited by a person, they do not have to teach Common Core, and they don't have to have any requirements to teach their kids. So every single thing that this woman brings up, with the exception of, I guess, lack of equipment, which would still fall under the assessments, does not exist in the state of Arkansas.
Good job. You did your homework.
Well, when you're homeschooled, it's all homework.
This is just making me want to debate homeschooling being a thing, but this movie tries to do that.
I mean, go for it. I think homeschooling, it worked out for me.
A couple of those no's, I'm like, maybe those should be yeses.
It worked out for me, but I also know a lot of homeschoolers who did not have as good of an education as I have. And I am the first one in line being like, it needs to be much more regulated than it was, because I got lucky.
Okay.
I'm not out here defending homeschool. I'm out here defending reality, which doesn't exist because schools just want to teach subjective truth. They just want to teach postmodernism.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's liberal. Everyone. And communists.
But also, what's weird about this is that all the villains are clearly concerned about being progressive and stuff. But none of the politicians ever expressly present their political party.
No, why would they?
Well, maybe
if any of these people were Republicans, there would be no audience for this movie.
Well, except for the good person, who we know is a Republican because he's wearing a red tie. But it goes to this point where at the end of this movie, they try to bring it all. It's like, we need to unite. All the while still holding all the hatred and vitriol towards progressivism.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we need to unite, but you have to stop being progressive.
Stop that. Get it out of here. Okay, shall we go through the returning cast?
Yeah, sure. Let's go through the subplots.
Okay. So we got the big one, the main one about the homeschool case with good old David A.R. White returning.
Producer, owner of Pinnacle Pictures or whatever it is, Pinnacle Peak.
With a bunch of moms and fathers. Well, just 2 moms and 1 father of this.
Yeah.
Then we got the main parents, their son is buying a car.
And that's his subplot.
From a girl who he thinks is cute. But it turns out her mom is the judge. They're having to appeal, and they get a ton of screen time for some reason.
Well, I think it's supposed to be cute.
They have no
fun.
bearing. No. I'm talking about the mom and the judge mom and the daughter.
Oh, well, that's because they realized while writing this, that's why, they can't actually win the appeal because this isn't how the judicial system works. We'll just have the judge change her mind because her daughter convinced her.
They get so much screen time. So does the boy. So does Carr.
Well, that's the thing. There's an inherent flaw in these movies that
you don't say.
That whenever they're going up against the government, they cannot say that the government is bad. And they can't be like, they have to show a certain amount of respect towards the government. But they also clearly want their position to win. So instead of actually having any definitive change to the laws or anything, they just have to have every character move over to their position at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't actually have them win an appeal in the next higher court. They have to just have some contrived way for the judge to change her mind.
Yeah. Then we have... No, that's it.
No.
There's a Muslim girl. She comes back from the first movie.
Martin Yip is there, but only to say random...
Just to say random American facts.
It's because...
Why is he back?
Well, in the previous 3 films...
He wasn't in 3.
Well, in the previous 3 films, David A.R. White had his black sidekick, who they decided to kill off because they were in the trilogy.
An Asian sidekick?
Well, yeah, they need some type of guys, we're not racist. We've got this guy.
Oh, no.
He's here only to help out the white person. Isn't that cool?
Oh, no.
In the 3rd one, he's here to die for the white person.
Oh.
Then you have one of the parents' kids, his father's died, and ever since then, he's been dealing with the grief.
Oh, my God.
And she doesn't want him to go to school because then, oh, no, maybe they'll have a school counselor there who can help him out.
Oh, no, maybe this kid can get a second opinion.
And then there is a girl from the first movie who is a Christian, secret Christian, and then she gets kicked out when her Muslim father finds this out.
And beat.
Yes, and beaten. It's maybe the most disgusting thing in all these movies.
Yeah, definitely is.
In this one, she gets hit by a car.
No, a truck, a semi.
A truck. And so her father has to reconcile with her, except she's in a coma, so he can't. But he has a conversation with the
despondent boy.
Yeah, so like somehow he doesn't convert either. He's like, God is good. But it's like, well, you're talking about, just keep it vague. Keep it vague so the Christians don't get mad, but they feel good. They're like, yeah, we like Muslims.
That one.
That's one of the good ones.
He was an Iron Man.
For some reason, he didn't ever apologize for beating his daughter.
Nope. He sure didn't.
At least he acts like a real person in this. All that's required of him is to act sad because his daughter
got hit by a semi. Oh. No Newsboys this time around.
No Newsboys. No Duck Dynasty. No cameos from Pat Boone or anything. I think they really blew their load with the second one, and they just haven't been able to reach those heights.
Well, 3 bombed.
Yeah, but 3 also, like, they had cameos from like theologians and from like pop culture figures like Pat Boone. They had their
was Pat Boone in 3?
No, I'm talking about 2.
Oh, okay.
And it had the most recognizable stars,
yeah.
Hudson and stuff. And then like from that point on, they just weren't able to reach that height.
3 had like the same budget as the other ones.
They just couldn't draw in the names.
Yeah. And it was also a reasonable movie. So,
relatively reasonable.
Well, yes, yeah, comparatively.
And so you get into this one, and it's like, well, they already finished up the trilogy. The third one bombed. They weren't able to get anybody for the third one. So why would they have to kind of rely on the PureFlix mainstays.
Like Francesca Battistelli.
But like the difference is that if you're not a Christian, you'll recognize who Ernie Hudson or Sabrina the Teenage Witch is.
Melissa Joan Hart, she has a name.
You won't recognize who Francesca Battistelli is. I'm a Christian and I didn't recognize which one she was.
I saw her at Winter Jam in 2014.
She was aggressively average. Can't wait for God's Not Dead 5 with Lauren Daigle.
John Cooper.
Oh, he would do one of these too. He would. This also does not look like it takes place in Washington. They clearly took a trip to Washington and got
they got a bunch of stock footage.
Yeah, they got a lot of B-roll footage of all these monuments.
It was filmed in Utah.
So they go to Washington, but their set just looks like the back hall of some random city hall or like a community center or
community
church.
College.
Or community college. I'm a bit of a nerd. I've watched my fair share of congressional hearings before. I have never seen a room that's just like so empty with such little formality about it.
I'll give you 3 reasons as to why. No budget.
Yeah.
Get it out for cheap. And COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought No Way Home was obvious that it was filmed during COVID. Dear Lord, this was even more obvious.
And you think if anyone, Pinnacle people could get people out here who wouldn't care about COVID.
Maybe there are standards that have to be enforced. Maybe
there is government overreach. You're right, Joe. But not only does it not look like a congressional hearing, no one behaves like a congressional hearing. They're very formal. They acknowledge time limits, but they never actually enforce them. They're constantly just like stopping the hearing in the middle, even though that is not allowed by parliamentary procedure. Because you don't know who any of these people are party-wise. Mm-hmm. You don't know what like the makeup of the committee is, so you don't know like who's the minority.
They're all evil Democrats.
Head and stuff. And so it's just very confusing.
Emphasis on evil.
And then at the end, David A.R.Y. is giving his big speech about how you're distracting us to take our liberties. You are evil. Joe Biden, you are evil. The head of the committee is constantly being like, out of order. Bailiff, get this man. And the bailiff does nothing. What bailiff would risk their job for this guy?
For David A.R. White.
And also, he's not out of order. He stood up, which is dumb because if he's trying to give a speech...
he backs away from the mic.
Yeah, like that's pretty stupid. And he's getting heated, but you can get heated in a congressional hearing. There's nothing out of order about it.
It's also right after they get like all the homeschool people from around the, I don't know, what was it, the nation or the state or what was it?
Yeah, it's
the 75%.
It's another appeal to unity. Like we're all in the same fight here, where it's showing all the people who homeschool for other reasons.
Systematic racism.
Yeah, underfunded schools, which we could solve with government. Never mind.
Which the government funds and would give more. Dang it!
You know, if we didn't have our schools based off of property tax. Wait, no, we're inching very dangerously towards socialism. And then there's one person who just doesn't want their kids vaccinated.
That was the one that got me the best. That was it.
Medical freedom. Sure, all my kids have like 70 diseases from the 30s, but whatever.
Guys, I did it. I brought back polio.
And that's my God-given right. So they all come together and they're like, we're all in this together. But ultimately, by the end of it, his argument is still very religious based.
Oh, and then there's just no conclusion.
Yeah, because...
And then it just ends.
Yeah, because this is a congressional subcommittee. Like,
that can't actually do anything.
Yeah.
So why were they there in the first place?
Like, they have a comment early on where, like, the original head of the committee dies unexpectedly. And he's like,
he was really fair.
Goodbye, centrists, or something, says the evil Democrat woman. But I'm like, which party is trying to promote centrism and leaning across the aisle? I don't think it's the one... Now, listen, I want centrists to be weeded out too, but that's for completely different reasons. Which party is benefiting from Joe Manchin right now? Let's just ask that question. This movie is so stupid.
These movies just want to act like they're not political. And like that's like the basis of them.
Yeah, they want to be like, this is all common sense. But also, they approach it in such a bad faith manner that it can only appeal to the people who already agree with them. At least with the third one, it's trying to find some middle ground. But with 1, 2, and 3... the people who oppose them are so comically evil.
Uh-huh. Which and this commits the worst movie sin of all, of being boring.
Oh yeah, the second one is so funny.
Hilarious.
There's the plot twist about the alternative girl who on the jury who turns out to be a Christian and stuff.
With the weird cult tattoo.
Yeah, like it's great. It has Prosecutor Kane,
Judge Ernie Hudson.
You
are out of order in my court.
I mean, this one does have actual real actors too playing the politicians, but like they're all boring and they're from like Grey's Anatomy and Law and Order.
Oh,
like,
is that where they're from?
Yeah, like I want a Ghostbuster.
I want Bill Murray.
If PureFlix came up to me and was like, "Do you want to play the villain in one of these?" I would do it.
Oh yeah. Ham it up as far as possible.
I would try to beat out Prosecutor
They didn't say
Kane.
the thing. They didn't say, we are going to prove once and for all that God is dead.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with God. This is such a boring culture war thing. That's the problem, is they don't commit to interesting culture wars. I want to see the God's Not Dead about trans issues. Why? Would it be good? No. Would it be offensive? Yes. Yeah. Could I tear into it? Could I feel more of an emotion than mild befuddlement? Yes.
Mild befuddlement.
Mainly, I want it because I think it would hurt their company more than this will. I want to wrap this up, but then
Just
I also
end it like the movie did.
Yeah, I also want to take a cue from God's Not Dead 4. So, guys, hashtag hottrashunlimited. Text all your friends.
Everyone you know.
If you believe in our mission today, text all your friends.